Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today I'm going to be playing Take Command Second Manassas. This game is coming out on Steam very shortly, and this is actually from a live stream just last night that I was doing. The gameplay's from the live stream, but I figured I would cover Take Command again because it is coming out on Steam very shortly. With that being said, I'm just going to jump in, and the audio is going to kind of be over and around the place a little bit, but because it is coming from a live stream. But I do hope you guys enjoy. We are playing Take Command Second Manassas, which is coming out on Steam, if not today, then tomorrow or sometime soon. It's the predecessor to Scourge of War. It's actually the second in the Take Command series. There was Take Command 1 Bull Run, or First Bull Run, or something to that effect, and then Take Command 2 Second Manassas. Real quick, guys, I know the music is getting a little bit loud at points. Just make sure that you can hear me, and if you can't, please let me know in the chat. But we're going to go ahead and play just a regular battle and Take Command Second Manassas. It's a real-time kind of military simulator, which puts you in command of various unit sizes in the Second Manassas campaign. So that includes the Battle of Cedar Mountain, the Battle of Second Manassas, and the Battle of Chantilly, or however you pronounce that. Cedar Mountain was the predecessor in which Stonewall Jackson engaged elements of General Pope's Union Army, and then Second Manassas was the main show in the campaign, which saw Jackson holding out against Pope frantically. General Longstreet came up on his right, swept around the Union flank, and nearly destroyed the army. One of the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia's greatest victories. And then the Battle of Chantilly, which was a rearguard action as the Confederates pursued the Union, retreating from Second Manassas and fighting in a thunderstorm. I do apologize if the audio is a little bit loud. This game's audio is really loud, actually. Let's see if there's a... Kind of surprised there isn't a volume option. Huh. Real quick, I know I've already said this a few times, but this is a live stream, so let me know when that audio was getting really loud, when that music was getting really loud. Could you hear me okay? All right, well, please, like I said in the chat, let me know if there's a point during the battle where you can't hear. So there's a grouping of scenarios in this game. You can play as General Early, for example, at Cedar Mountain, in which case you command General Early's brigade, I believe it is. You could also play at a divisional level, where you command a division. 1st Division and 2nd Corps of the Army of Virginia. Or you can even play at the Army level. So if we jump all the way over here, you can see there's a Robert E. Lee scenario where you command the Army of Northern Virginia, some 40,000 or 50,000 men, and that's a huge scenario. Surprisingly, it's only 60 minutes long, but we're not going to play that one. Let's see here. When the fun stopped. Yes. Let's see here. I think what we're going to do... Can we play as Kearney? Over the cut on the other side? Let's see. You're allowed to rest your division. Gave General Porter. Actually, Grover. Maybe we'll do Grover. I think I want to do a smaller, shorter scenario tonight. Let's see. You command 1 brigade. Brigade's been ordered by Major General Joseph Hooker to attack the position of the Confederate defenses in the vicinity of the unfinished railroad. Viewing the execution of the order suicidal, you move your brigade by the right flank parallel to the rebel positions and find a weak spot in their line. You have ordered your brigade to take positions with the bayonet. Can you hold until reinforcements arrive? Take command. I think we're going to do this one. So it's a brigade scenario. Sounds like we're on the defensive. I just recently reinstalled the game because, again, it is coming out on Steam shortly. And you can see I did play 1 battle as Pender. It's a 30-minute scenario. The variant I played wasn't very ideal. The main fighting was over after a short period of time, and it was mainly sitting on a VP point. So that one wasn't too compelling. But this one sounds like we're going to have to hold off a Confederate attack with a brigade of our men. You can see here we've got 5 regiments, 3 Massachusetts regiments, a New Hampshire and a Pennsylvania, some 2,000 men, which are under our direct control. You can see down here, it gives you the victory conditions. And then the nice thing about these kind of games is just the thorough research that goes into the background of all of this. You can see here your character. It's almost like an RPG for a war game. You are playing as Curver Grover, and gives you the age of him at the time of the battle, gives you where he was born, gives you his pre-war career, and gives you a relatively detailed war synopsis of his performance. Some of the characters, it even gives you like essays about them. So Robert E. Lee, I mean, everyone knows who Robert E. Lee is, but it gives you all these. Just giving you an example, but I've got to scroll through the whole army of Northern Virginia because that's all the forces that are under your command. So yeah, I mean, that's not as long as I had led to believe. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to play as Grover. You can see here a nice little splash screen that gives you a little bit of information about the Battle of Cedar Mountain. Not the battle we're fighting, we're in Second Manassas, but it just kind of randomly selects a splash screen to land on. This game is like 10 years old, too, and for a 10-year-old game, it looks pretty decent. The sprites are a little bit, pixelated and whatnot when you get to the actual combat map, but overall, this is a 10-year-old game, so just keep that in mind here. You can see our forces moving forward. This is us. You can only move so far from your character or zoom up or down so far based on your rank. So it kind of simulates the limited ability to influence or see, infinitely. You can see here some rebel forces forward in the trees. We've actually got some of one of our regiments already engaged, and we're moving forward to take this objective point. Looks like our troops are charging forward pretty strongly. So we're going to have our leader gallop. We need to get to this point. If we sit on this point, that's when we get points. This is the objective point. So the longer we hold this, and our commander has to be within a certain area of this hex, we get victory points, or we get a grade, if you will. See here, this regiment is charging forward on its own. I never ordered that. You can see these guys are all engaged, and you get a grade. So for every kill, you get like a 0.1 grade. For every casualty, you lose 0.1. Looks like our brigade's kind of charged forward on its own. A brilliant charge. Hold your position. We are coming. So Joseph Hooker sends us a courier message to tell us great job in driving off those rebels. And I guess we need to get a little bit further forward so we can start capturing this victory point. You can see here the enemy does have troops on our flank, so we probably want to wheel. Usually the computer does that on its own, but we don't want to let them shoot into our rear unopposed. I think we'll move forward there on the double, close range with these guys in this wood. Okay, so they're retreating too. Okay, so why are we not getting points here? We're too far forward? What's the dealio? So we'll have 3 regiments on the right. I wish I could zoom out. Oh, wait. The objective's a little bit further forward. Okay. So we'll move into the woods. That's fine. Those will probably be good defensive positions to occupy. We'll move quickly to get into position before any rebels come. You can see here there are rebels over here, so if they swing south to face us, we may be in some trouble. Got 2 regiments on my right. I can use this as a general reserve to come forward if need be. Okay, we're now, you can see here it's turned, colors to blue, and we're now on the Grovetown Sudley Road. Every minute we earn points that we hold this position. The enemy counterattack is surely coming. I just hope they don't come from the right. If these troops swing south on our flank, we could be in some trouble. Let's see here. And I honestly have no clue how expensive it'll be, guys. I assume it'll be less expensive than Scourge of War Gettysburg, because that's the newer version. I think that's either $19.99 or $29.99, so it'll be under that. I don't know what it'll cost, though. I've honestly no idea. I am on the Scourge of War test team, but this is kind of still, I think, I haven't heard anything about this other than it's coming. think we're going to pull this regiment back out to kind of the center. It's going to act as a reserve somewhat. Should the enemy try and turn our flank. How are these guys doing? So they're in the railroad grade. That gives them a defensive bonus. You can see here, this game is very much in the spirit of Sid Meier's Gettysburg. As these guys reload and they're under artillery fire, you can see here that they have a defensive terrain bonus. They also are visible to the enemy, a high ground bonus, and a support bonus, which all makes their morale higher and makes their combat effectiveness increase. You can see they just drove one of those regiments off. They're engaging another. They can also run out of ammo, so if we go to the combat report, we click on that, you can see they're armed with the British 1853 pattern Enfield rifle. It's a .577 caliber rifle. Open fire range for all weapons, I believe, in this game is 160 yards. There might be a few snipers or whatnot that can go a little bit further. Ammunition, 34 rounds per man right now. That's pretty healthy. You can see this little mini ball icon decreases with time as the ammo runs out, and those are some explosions from artillery. We've lost 45 casualties, 8 killed, 31 wounded, 6 missing. The enemy has 34 casualties directly from our unit, but I guess driving off the enemy gives you some grade points as well. Infantry training, you can see here general stats for the unit. So they're mediocre on loading and accuracy and drill. Bayonet drill's pretty good. Breastworks are weak, and medical is pretty good. That's actually for me, commanding officer, I guess. So those are kind of the influence I have on my men. And it looks like the rebels are bringing in reinforcements already. So we're already under attack. They're coming in on our right, just like I was worried as I was chatting and not paying attention. You can see there's a regiment coming in on our flank. They're also coming up through these woods where our men are under attack as well. They've close to 60 yards. Jeez. We did drive the enemy off on the right, so we're going to move this regiment into support. It's going to sneak between these two regiments, which are being struck by the enemy. They're rested, so we're going to sneak them in here. Hopefully we can get 3 regiments on the line firing against the Confederates. You can see this regiment has some Confederates coming right up front against it, and they're not shooting, they're just marching through some difficult terrain, so that gives us the advantage right now. And then we're going to shift this other regiment to the right. I'm just worried. Oh, these guys must have gone into the woods. These are only 80 yards away, but we don't. Doesn't look like we have line of sight. So I guess we'll close a little bit. These are woods, so if we can see here there's trees here, but it's telling us right now they're in light woods. So that gives them some defensive terrain bonus, but it also means their line of sight is somewhat obscured. Now you can see they just opened fire on this regiment. This little red circle above the regiment means it's being targeted by this selected unit. You can see here there's 3 enemy regiments. They're kind of stacked, which probably makes their fire a little bit less effective. But our flank is kind of in the air here too. So we're going to move this guy over a bit, because I think the regiment we saw that disappeared probably went into these woods. Meanwhile, our head commander's getting grade points. Remember, up to 340, I believe, is a major victory. And the more troops I can bring in line and engage the enemy simultaneously, the more firepower we bring on them, the quicker we can drive them back. Looks like there's some other troops moving here in the woods. Can't tell if they're Confederates. They look like Yanks. Yeah, alright, so these are probably some reinforcements headed my way, part of the 9th Corps. It looks like they are headed my way, so they're going to move toward our left, maybe coming in behind these rebels. One of our regiments is being flanked right now, which is not good. You can see this little lightning bolt means they're getting flanked. So what we're going to do is we're going to let's pull them out. We're going to take command, which basically means the AI gets turned off. And then I'm going to march them. I'm going to basically refuse my line so they can't be fired into. And I'll untake command. So if the enemy's firing into just that narrow side, you obviously take disproportionate losses. But right now we're holding steady. Okay, so now they're moving in, and they're in column formation, which makes them more or less sitting ducks, which is good for us. But the woods shields them a bit from our rifle fire. You can see they're forming up now to face off against our folks. And here, let's see. So we've got the high ground, and we've got the terrain bonus. So these guys are all Pretty strong. Morale of confident is actually an alarming sign. Usually when that morale drops from anything but high, they start retreating pretty quick. I did drive this regiment back. Good. Morale bumped back to high, probably because we drove this regiment off, as they're slowly retreating back through these woods. Still waiting on them to come in on my left flank. They haven't yet. Meanwhile, we can see these blue coats coming across here. There's also a whole bunch of enemy coming down this way. So, kind of penetrated the rebel line. If you know much about the Battle of Second Manassas, it was really fought along an unfinished railroad cut, which made for brilliant defensive terrain. General Thomas Jackson withstood a Union force vastly superior his size for well over a day, and then General Longstreet came up with his corps and struck the open Union flank. General Pope, who was in command of the Union force, more or less ignored constant warnings that there were rebels to his flank. They were General Longstreet, and in the midst of one more attack that he thought would finish off Jackson, he instead was finished off by General Longstreet, who nearly routed him and certainly swept him from the field. One of the most, actually, I think it was the largest attack, if not the largest. Chickamauga may have been, but I believe single attack. Longstreet's entire corps went into action all simultaneously. Over 17,000 men, and they won a very stunning victory despite relatively heavy losses on the Confederate side. That victory propelled the Confederates into attempting the invasion of Maryland and the Antietam campaign, which came after. You can see these guys are starting to pull back now. So, because I've got Union troops coming in on my left, I'm going to take the 26th Pennsylvania. I'm going to move them into this gap that just opened up because we had our regiment driven back. I'll double-click them into position. Move them to column. That'll move them quicker. You can see here they move much more quickly and stay fresh longer in column. And then we're going to plug that gap, although their morale isn't great either. So we need to be aware of that. So swing them in here. Into formation to plug that gap in the line. And they're going to rest and recover some morale. These guys are going to rest and recover some morale as long as they're not in combat or under fire. So we've kind of built a new reserve regiment in the 11th Massachusetts. They may have retreated, but we can kind of use them as a reserve because they've got this little bivouac symbol. They're rallying. However, if they fight before their morale recovers, they won't be very effective. So you can see the enemy does have one regiment engaging us on the right. Looks like we're doing okay there. So overall, we're holding. We've shifted a few units around. These guys are getting flanked, so I'm going to pull. I want to take command. The morale just took a hit because I basically ordered them to expose their rear to the enemy while they're getting flanked. But if I leave them there much longer, again, when your unit takes fire from a side it can't return fire on, it quickly will lose its willingness to fight. So I'm pulling the 16th Mass back a bit. And again, trying to form a cohesive line with the regiment to its right. So that these guys can't get flanked, and neither can we by wheeling this way. Okay. So once they stop moving, they're resting as well. Their morale's a little bit low for my taste, but as long as the enemy doesn't make too strong a push that way. Meanwhile, these guys' morale is only confident also. So that is a little bit concerning. Looks like we drove back the one rebel regiment to our right. They're running. So we're going to use these guys advance toward this enemy regiment's flank. Hopefully we can take some of the pressure off of our troops trying to hold here. Geez, that's a lot of artillery we're getting hit with. You can see enemy batteries are out this way. Actually, no, those are regiments. Where are their batteries? Can't go too far, apparently. Oh, there are their batteries. But I can't get a real good look at them because, like I said, you can only go so far from your commanding officer. Okay, we're continuing to rack up those victory points. We are about 120 away from a major victory. And overall, the line is holding okay. We did drive that regiment off, so I'm going to kind of keep moving this infantry up. I'm going to use them kind of like a flanking force. We're trying to bring him in around. And again, if I can kind of use these guys to flank the enemy, you can see I'm thinking moving these guys in help drive them back. We've got, I think, 15 minutes left. It's a half an hour scenario, so 15 times 10, I believe you get 10 points per minute. Should get us there with a little bit of a buffer. Unless we, unless we lose the position, which would certainly be disastrous. Advance at these guys as well. So just kind of a slow advance up the middle. Take these rebels in the open under fire. They're, across a way, but they're in the open. They're in the middle of a road, so we're in cover and they're not. So that should give us an advantage here. Score is definitely going up, not going down. Okay. Looks like we've got some more Federals coming up behind us. It has them engaging some Virginia battalion. Okay, there's rebel troops over there. 1st Division, 9th Corps, Army of the Potomac. Who commanded the 9th Corps? I don't think that was Hooker's Corps. Okay, so we drove them, or pushed them back a little bit. They're still under fire, though. It looks like they fell back just a little bit. And then Colonel Benjamin Christ. That's not us. That's some other guy. Our guy is right here. Now, in Scourge of War, if your guy dies, you lose the scenario. I think you can die and take command as well, but this is us. So it's kind of like a cross between an RPG and like a real-time strategy combat game in the vein of like Take Command, because in Take Command, you're not really an individual. You're kind of this all-knowing god general. Oh my goodness, Total War. In Take Command, you're one individual character in charge of a designated unit in the midst of a battle. So it's interesting. It kind of puts you in the shoes of one cog in a massive military machine, which is kind of neat. And it's very much, as you can tell here, authentic to the Civil War style of combat. 3 rounds a minute, linear warfare in the Napoleonic tradition. Cavalry doesn't play a very large role in the Take Command games or Scourge of War, or at least not in Scourge of War or the Civil War games. Waterloo's a different one. The newest Scourge of War game is Scourge of War Waterloo, which cavalry certainly plays a big role in. But it's more of a scouting force, as it was in the Civil War, in the Civil War games. Okay, so high, high, high. All right. You can see our ammunition is slowly getting depleted on these guys, but I don't think we're going to run through 22. These guys have Austrian Lorenz rifle muskets. I don't think we're going to run through 20 rounds of ammo in just 10 minutes, so we're relatively good there. Yeah, so I think all things considered, this battle's looking good. Maybe we'll bring these guys up a bit. I like the idea of continuing to press the enemy. Are these guys coming in? Or are they just sitting back? Oh, looks like there's, 5 enemy regiments that are marching towards us. So we drove the troops to our front back. Still have 1 regiment under fire, but it's being torn apart. You can see all these dead bodies littered across. There is no campaign game in Take Command, so Waterloo was the first of the Scourge of War Take Command games to have a campaign. They do have a few linking scenarios, and I actually think this is the first. So I believe there's another scenario where you fight as... Maybe not this one. No, Kearney. So there are some units where you have multiple scenarios that are linked. So your casualties in one carry over to the next. But they're all predefined scenarios. So it's much more in the Ultimate General or Scourge of War sort of pre-made scenario veins. Sid Meier's Gettysburg's another good example of like an older game that follows the same sort of style. I don't know if these enemy troops are going to get to our flank or not in time, but I think we need to realign our force. I could do the whole brigade and just do a line command for the brigade, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to shift these 2 regiments to my right. I'm going to shift this one more to the center. So I'm moving my troops around in the woods here to greet this enemy attack, which looks like it's coming. I think we've driven the rebels on our left back, so I'm not too worried about that. This isn't mine. This is some other Union unit. Oh, and we've got... Is this the... Oh, it's an Irish unit. We've got Farnsworth's brigade of the 9th Corps coming forward to help us. So we may not... What did I do? Oops. Sorry about that, guys. I clicked out of the first monitor. So we may not be alone for that much longer. Actually, they've already got one unit up, multiple units up in position. So, cool. If the enemy attacks with that brigade, I think we'll be okay. Looks like there's one more unit moving forward. I don't know if we've already engaged these guys or not. I love how the troops are only up to a certain height in the cornfields. That makes the summer scenarios, like for the summer battles, and so kind of neat seeing these guys wade through, you know, chest-high corn. I think, don't quote me, but I think the corn can get beaten down over the course of a battle in the Antietam game. Maybe not, but it did in Sid Meier's, I believe, Sid Meier's Antietam. So it's getting rapidly crowded over here. I don't think we need them over there. Oh wait, that's not my unit. That one is, though. So we're kind of narrowing our front as we get these reinforcements coming up. If the enemy pushed this way, though, they've got a whole brigade. They could sweep down this railroad cut and push us back. Fortunately, they haven't done that. Who's fighting? So it looks like we're going to do that. We're going to drive up the right. We'll go and help out this regiment with our own. We'll engage the South Carolina Rifles. These guys are in the open, and again, we're in defensive terrain. We're in light woods, so them being in the open and us having some cover gives us the advantage. We can go and help out the 79th New York Highlanders and still be okay. It looks like these guys are moving forward a little bit too much. Let's double quicken. Maybe we can hit them with a volley before they form up. Another enemy regiment over here. We've got the Irish forming up on our right. And... Hi, Tortuga. I just see that you showed up in the chat. Fair warning, your financial situation of France isn't looking good. I finished my turn, so it's up to January of 1906 in my live stream. I'll probably have those videos posted. The last one will post probably Friday or so, and then one would post either Saturday or Sunday. So you'll have your turn shortly, but I warn you, I've got 5 pre-Dreadnought battleships that are 2.5 million per ship under construction because the lovely people of France decided we need lots of battleships or you'll piss us off. And me being the ever pleasing one, I decided, hey, okay, I'll do what they ask. And now everyone has dreadnoughts that they're building, and we're stuck building 5 pre-dreadnoughts. So good luck with that. Oh yeah, also we're a stone's throw away from war with Italy. So, anyway, If you want to scrap some of the older Trident-class battleships, that's fine. But yeah, the first year could be challenging. This is Take Command. It's not Scourge of War, so this is the precursor. I'm playing this because I wanted to stream for a little bit longer, and as I mentioned previously, Take Command 2 Second Manassas will be coming out on Steam. Obviously, it's an older game, but it'll be released to Steam within a couple of days, I believe. So I'm just kind of covering it because it's coming to Steam, and I thought it'd be interesting to cover. You can see here we're sitting on a major victory now, so it's just a kind of an issue running out the clock and making sure the rebels don't break through and destroy us all before the time runs out here. You can see we've got kind of a mishmash of forces: computer-controlled regiment, our controlled regiment. We've got, you know, one there, another computer one over there. So a vicious Confederate counterattack underway right now. It looks like they're pushing those Irishmen back. So I think we'll move over here to make sure there's no gap in the line. We'll go ahead and form up. No idea yet. The price hasn't been released. There's no pre-sale or anything like that. So we'll find out when it comes out. Okay. So this should end in about 5 more minutes. While we're waiting for this to end, you guys have any questions for me? I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. I will say that the Succession series of Rule the Waves has kind of inspired me to maybe consider starting my own Rule the Waves series. I haven't done anything since Japan, which was like version 1.0 of Rule the Waves, whereas, and obviously we're to 1.3. I don't know if you guys heard, but Rule the Waves 2 was announced. It will cover the period up to 1950, and it will cover air combat as well during that period. I have no idea how they intend to accomplish that. That seems highly optimistic. I don't think the Steam and Iron engine fits really well with air combat, or I can't imagine how it would. I guess we haven't seen it, so it's hard to say it doesn't fit. But it's hard for me to imagine it fitting air combat terribly well. It certainly could, though. You can see here we've got 3 regiments of ours all stacked up in combat. It looks like we're doing well in combat, though, because our grade is continuing to go up. If we take a look at our order of battle so far, our brigade started with over 2,000 men. We've lost about 400 casualties. Enemy casualties, 621. So, Tortuga, what are your thoughts on hearing you're not going to have a whole lot of money to play with? I did a stream of the Underserved Conflicts. That's going to be episode 5 of the Single Malt Strategy podcast. Episode 4, which was supposed to be Underserved, Jean kind of took over the video, and it ended up being a Hearts of Iron review. So that one's up live now, and the Underserved one will be up in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, I would say, 2 weeks from last Monday is when it'll come up. So we're about a week and a half, and you'll get episode 5. 5, 6, 7, 8. I just posted a Single Malt Strategy episode a couple days ago, so if you haven't seen episode 4, check that out. Episode 5 is already recorded, but we try and release on a bi-weekly pattern. So like I said, it's about a week and a half. It'll be up 2 weeks from last Monday. So yeah, Tortuga, you're going to be working with 5 battleships under construction that have 4 12-inch main guns and then 12 10-inch secondaries and double turrets along the midships. So that's what you're going to have to counter some dreadnoughts. We could build a dreadnought at this point, but our research is really limiting us with what we can build because we can only build 3 centerline turrets, which makes, for our main battery, which makes kind of, I don't see the point of building a 6-gun dreadnought. That just doesn't make sense. That's why I went with the heavy semi-dreadnought, kind of in the vein of what France really did with the Danton class. They were pretty tardy to the dreadnought party. That kind of rhymed. But I do think we'll be okay with that class, in all honesty. It's 22,000 tons. It's a behemoth. It's incredibly heavily armored. So I think it might actually do okay against the computer designs. It's 2,000 tons heavier than the computer dreadnoughts. They'll obviously have more main battery guns, but if our secondary guns can be aimed accurately, they may do okay. We do also have, I think, like 28 light cruisers. I fell in love with a class I called the Sardinia class because we took over Sardinia, and you know, so I built a crap ton of light cruisers. We have over 50 destroyers. You could certainly scrap some of the older destroyers. There's not a lot of money to save there because those ships are so cheap in terms of maintenance. I also reserve fleeted the Trident class, but again, even if you scrapped all that, it's only 400,000 a turn that it saves you. So. You're going to have some dilemmas, but the public demanded that we build those 5 battleships, and I sure hope you don't scrap a new battleship that's under construction. 2 of them are halted, and 2 of them will be done in about 10 months. But I sure hope you don't scrap brand new ships. That would be pretty unrealistic. Our prestige is running pretty nice, though. I think we're at like a 35 prestige, which I don't play Rule of Waves a ton, but I think that's pretty good for just being 5 years in. This battle should be over in about 30 seconds now, folks, and we have a 470 grade. The major victory requirements are 340, I believe, so we should win a major victory here very shortly. That was all in the Rule the Waves forum, so the information about Rule the Waves 2 and what it's covering in the time period was posted by the developer to the Rule the Waves forum. So you can see here a major victory, a decisive victory was won for our side. If we go ahead and see the Union battle details, we suffered 1,100 casualties, inflicted 1,300. That's for all the Union units. If we actually look at ourselves, I'm not sure what we're under. I honestly don't know who our direct commander was. Well, wait, we were under Hooker. So let's look for Hooker. No. McDowell? No. Gotta be Heinzelman. There we go. So then we're in Hooker's division, and we are Grover's brigade. So you can see we did much better than anybody else. We had, at the end of the day, about 400 casualties of our own, inflicted 656. And you can see some information about just the battle as a whole. End of the day, it's a victory. It's a major victory. So if we go ahead and we exit out, we go back to the battles, you will see now, as we scroll over, it will show our high score ever attained using that scenario. And if you beat all of them, you beat the game, kind of. Quite a few scenarios to choose from. Like I said, this is coming out on Steam very shortly. So, you know, if this looks like something that might interest you guys, feel free to check it out. Alright, that'll just about do it for this stream and for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.